and he threw a punch in it, and I went backwards a little bit. It didn't hurt me at all, but even Jake asked, he's like, "Did you get rocked on that first punch?"
It looked like you got rocked.
Big time, no man, diamonds in my teeth. I got a lot of shine. Don't do it. Wash your back, wash your mouth. Don't do it. Big time.
What's up? What's up? What's up? We're back, and we got another special episode of Involuntary Yoga, brought to you by Fit Soda. Make sure you go to fitsoda.com, get yours today. And
Fit Soda never hurt nobody.
there we go, the man Joey Diaz. So today we're doing something kind of fun. So as you know, I had my bare knuckle fight this past weekend in Denver. It was BKFC 41, and that was the biggest card they've ever done. It was a pay-per-view, right? Well,
Dominated.
Dominated. My man here, Chris Miller, was in my corner for that, and it was his first time cornering. Yeah, babe. I assume if you listen to this show, you know what cornering means. It's the coaches that are yelling things into the ring that I hear, how you help me warm up. It's all of the above. But Mr. Miller here is making a very cool vlog about the whole experience and talking to people about it and what he should do, what he shouldn't do. And that should be coming out, what, the next few weeks? Or?
I don't know. Based on Maddie's work ethic, probably the next 2 years. So summer of 2025.
Maddie's not having it today.
Yeah, what's your problem today, bro?
I have no problems.
You had a stressful morning.
Yeah, we had a stressful.
Yeah, bro, it was
DNS
crazy.
servers are my problem.
First and foremost, congratulations on a fucking dominant performance.
Thank you. It was fun. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy fighting people without gloves.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
just
great.
like a
Good for
fucking-
you, bro.
It's just like a bar fight.
So yeah, to dote on Chris before we talk about the easiest job in the world, although it was really stressful. Yeah, dominant first round victory. I texted before he came out to Gina and Whitney that he looked good and the vibe was just good. I was like, this is going to be a first round knockout. And he got it done in the first round. Absolutely dominated this guy. And then it was just like, it felt like your night, bro. Bell of the ball. It was like,
Bell of the ball.
You were a
You were.
princess.
I wore my dress and everything.
signing autographs.
You did have a sleeveless hoodie on.
Which was dope. Team Genesis took home a ton of wins that night, including Brittany Camozzi.
Let's go. Yeah.
So yeah, such a good night.
I know. Yeah, it's such a cool weekend. Brittany Camozzi, my sister-in-law, she fought the same night, other side of town, and she got the third round rear naked choke win. So congrats to her too, and then congrats to Brandon Gertz, who was on the bare knuckle card, Marcus Edwards, who was on the bare knuckle card, and then Josh Copeland. If you watched it, he had a very tough fight with Ben Rothwell. That was a
Really tough
banger. Those guys, both their faces, you should have seen it after, were just
Mashed.
You saw them in the back. But yeah, I wanted to do a little bit different episode. So the whole point, or my whole vision for Involuntary Yoga, is to highlight different parts of the sport and people's experiences, not just fighting. Not just here's our picks for the fights and here's what we think kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's why we had Bert Watson on, who was the director of operations.
Real crazy.
They're just trying to get like different aspects, like I want to get like a ring girl on here, like see that their
So
kind of
Miller wants you to do that too.
Yeah.
Yes. Can we get several?
Some promoters, managers, all that stuff, because everybody kind of has a different view of the sport. And with it being your first corner experience, I was like, why don't you come on instead of having another guest, and we'll have you on, and I'm going to interview you about cornering and like your perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interviewing you. Well, first and foremost, when I asked him, I immediately regretted the ask because I didn't want to put Chris in an uncomfortable situation. Obviously, our relationship is dynamic, and I didn't want him to feel like, oh, I work with you, and I feel obligated to this. Even I haven't even gone to Genesis sometimes to train because sometimes I'm like, I want to know that I'm adding value to these guys. I don't want to waste anyone's fucking time. I don't want to be a drag on anybody, especially when you're trying to perform at that level. And so when I asked you, I immediately was like, didn't take it back, but I like triple checked with you. I was like, please make sure.
Oh yeah, no, it's good with me.
Yeah.
The thing about cornering, and we have coaches and everything, and then a lot of guys will like fill some of those spots with like a friend or whatever. You usually want to take people that you feel comfortable with. Like, I hate saying battle because it's not battle. Like, like Beto and those guys have been in real battle, but like going to a fight, you usually bring people in your corner that got your back. you feel comfortable with, or like bring a good vibe, or help keep you relaxed, or like everybody has a purpose, and like you and I are friends, so your purpose was basically like, well, we'll get into it, but you got to see like coach is so busy, you got to like chill with me and stuff, because it is kind of like a lonely feeling when you're getting ready to fight. You're sitting there and you're like, do I just sit here?
Yeah, I could see
pace
that.
around, like, you know.
So quick question. What are we going to do with Brian Camozzi now? Because I feel like we can't change your corner. Can we both be in it for the championship?
Well, Brian has a job, so it's tougher for him to get any time off. But no, normally I get 3 corners. This time I only got 2. I don't really know why.
Because we can't fuck up the karma now, right?
Yeah, no, we got to keep it. There's a momentum thing, like we were talking about, momentum in sports. Like, I'm not very like superstitious, but a lot of guys are. Like, some guys will, let's see, like we have a boxer at the gym who gets in the ring every single time the exact same way, whether it's sparring, whether he's hitting mitts. He does this little like bob under the ropes like 3 times before.
A little autistic, huh?
Even if he forgets like his gloves in the ring, I've seen him go up there, he'll bob in and out of the ropes and then walk in. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's got a little OCD.
Yeah, but let's get into it. So, actually, I want to say shout out to Gator Wrestler 303 from Reddit who brought in the
that was
Gator.
wild.
Yes.
We had a Gator come in the office, a little like probably what 3-4 feet, probably 4 feet.
Yeah,
from tail to nose. So he's a moderator on Reddit for the R Bare Knuckle FC. So shout out to those guys too, because they actually had some questions that kind of ties into this whole thing. Yeah. So on Reddit, they were asking, kind of what the process is from weigh-ins to the after party, basically. So I figure we can fill all that in too. But this is about you today.
Let's get it, buddy.
So tell me, were you nervous, right? So we talked about this, so I'll fill you guys in a little bit. Like, I've always told Chris and everybody else, I get more nervous to corner people than I do to fight.
Yeah.
Because when I'm close with them, like when my brother used to fight or friends or whatever, it's like, it's not that I was like worried about them being prepared or like I wasn't confident in them. It was, you see them work so hard, and then to see somebody you care about lose or whatever, and like the disappointment and stuff was always crushing.
Yeah.
And when you're there, you're like so helpless, right? You're like, because when I fight, I have all the control. Like, I'm in there.
Yeah.
It's me doing it. Cornering, it's like you want to say everything you can, do all of this, and then they get in there, and then you're kind of like, oh, I hope this works.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So take me through it. Like, were you nervous that day?
No, not at all. I wasn't nervous that day, at all. I mean, obviously full faith in you, had all the confidence in the world. We can talk about the locker room dynamic in a sec.
Yeah.
The only time I felt what I would call a nerve is, when they were out of snacks at the food bar, and then I was like, we're fucked.
Dude, that's
I even brought snacks. When Chris got in the car, I was like, I got snacks. I felt like his mom. I felt stupid.
He's like,
there was a bunch.
Gatorades.
Yeah, there was a bunch of times during the day I felt a little dumb because I was like, dude, I got snacks.
you need Go-Gurt? I got one.
Yeah. So the only time I felt nerves was when it was just you and me. I knew we had 10 minutes left, roughly 10 minutes. And it felt like I was walking my boy out to go to a street fight. And it wasn't like nervous that I'm going to fuck anything up. It was more like we're about to go get in a fight.
The anxiety's up a little bit.
Yeah. So I felt the nerves of the fight. Like, I even caught myself, I never told you this. I even caught myself a few times going, like taking deep breaths.
I do that too, because
I breathe a lot also.
Wow.
he's back.
Wow.
And I mean, like, you can probably attest to this now. It like, when I corner, I'm like amped up, you know, and it's like, I'm fighting. It feels kind of the same, right? Did you get that feeling where you're like, it's hard to explain. It's
Felt
not,
like I was walking out to get in a fight.
yeah. Cause I do the same thing. I'll be like, all right, let's go. We got this. Like, your hands are like sweating, and I'm like, you know, even cornering Whitney, I was nervous as fuck. And you try not to show it because it's your job to be like the support system there as the corner. So you can't be like freaking out.
Right.
Like, oh, I don't know if we should do this. The back door is unlocked. We could leave.
Yeah, we could get out of here, man.
Let's go to
So the only other nerves that I got was right in the beginning because Jake was already out there, and there was one point where Chris, so in the staging area, Chris, there's a spot where the fighters stand or sit. You should tell the story about what's his name.
Yeah, and hold on, actually, because I want to get to this because I want your take on all this, but I was going to go through it in like a little bit of an order. So we get there, right? So I'm cutting you off, but I know where you're going, and that's one thing I wanted to.
No, the only other thing, and then we'll go back, is I was just like walking out. I was like, I don't know what bucket to hold. I don't know.
Like, what do I do with my hands?
I didn't know where to sit. Thankfully, they just put me where to go, and Jake just handed me the bucket, and I was like, I'll figure it out. I just didn't want to fucking drop like your mouthpiece or like fucking squirt water in your eye, or I just didn't know once I got to the ring what the rules were. So that part was a little nerve wracking because you're like, no one's ever told me where to stand or anything. But they did a great job.
Just so you know that
corner.
Just so you know, that's literally every single time. Like every time I corner and stuff, because the way you walk is always different, and it's hard to see like the color pads for the corner and stuff. So they always like direct you, because I've gone the wrong way before. And they're like, no, you're over here. I'll just sit down. They're like, this is a judge's seat. The only other idea that came into my mind was because those stairs getting into the ring were a little rickety. Yeah. I was like, because the first time I ever stepped on them, I almost fell. I was like, I'm going to fall on my face. I almost fell out. Yeah. I'm going to fall down and everyone's going to laugh at me. I was worried about that too. I forgot about that. The stairs were janky as shit. Jumping ahead. Yeah. After my fight, after I won, we were walking out like he's talking about, and I stepped on one of the sides of the stairs and it like almost flipped. Like super janky. I almost just ate shit off the stairs. So you were going to go through. So so Miller and I drive to his house, park my car there. We ride up. He was late, by the way. Yeah, I was definitely late. I was busy. He texted me, hey, we got to be there because there might be fines. And then I was like, again, trying to be the best friend and corner guy I could. So I was already waiting downstairs in the truck with snacks. I was like, I'm ready. And I get a text. He's like, dude, I'm running late. I fucking forgot shit. Yeah, I did. I forgot all kinds of stuff. But I forgot my knuckles at home. Yeah, damn it. So we ride up there. We get there, right? And the whole process is you park in the back of the arena. You go in. You check with the boxing commission. They have a list there of everybody that's licensed. We get our bands and everything, and we go in. Which, by the way, security felt like we just pulled up, and I was like, I got a fighter. And the lady was just like, yeah, they didn't check if it was a fighter. But you guys are probably early, too. I park in the back all the time. Like, not all the time, but sometimes as a fan. I'll be thought that part was weird. Tonight. Yeah. Usually they're like, go ahead. So they give us bands. Yeah, and then we go in the locker room. And so cards like this where I'm fighting with multiple teammates, sometimes they have you split up in different locker rooms, but we all use the same coaches. So we find a big room under the arena, like the best one, had a shower, everything. When you get there early, you get to pick, and you're like, fuck you. I don't care if your name's on the door. We're using this one. So then it's kind of cool because it's cool, but it's awkward, right? And we'll get to this because it's me, Gertz, and Marcus in there, and then Mike Alvarado, all in there. We all know each other. But the dynamics of everybody are a little bit different. There's a lady in there too that. That's right, Courtney, I believe is her name. Know her a little bit, but not much. But the rest of us were kind of like a team. So my coach Jake is there, and he's a little bit stressed too because he's got to warm everybody up. He's got to corner everybody. He's got to tape hands. And once we start rolling, I have to be ready because my teammate is fighting right before me. So I have to be warmed up with my coach and stuff before the fight before mine. Before Gertz goes on? Yeah, because he's not going to be back. So it is a little bit of a different thing, but I wanted to get your take on the vibe of the locker room in the beginning before really starting. Yeah, the vibe was, I thought in the beginning it was cool. So what Chris left out too is that he had to get taped really early. Jake taped because Marcus fought really early in the card, and then Gertz and Chris fought on the main card much later. And so Jake had to tape them all at 5 o'clock. I want to say 5 o'clock. I think Chris's fight wasn't until 8, so he was already taped up, and it felt like he was ready. And then once guys kind of settle in, everyone kind of looked around the room. I was playing with the TV. Everyone's kind of settling in. As the time ticks off, the room starts to get more tense, very tense. Again, everyone in there is about to go get in a fucking fight. So you have all these corner people, coaches, people trying to warm up, people trying to share the space. You also have people trying to be good to each other and pump each other up, but everyone has kind of a different
a different vibe. So, like where Brandon, where Gertz is a little bit more intense.
I'm gonna go kill someone now.
Yeah, Gertz is like very serious. Where I'm like, I keep it lighthearted. I told him that before. I'm like,
Yeah, Chris was playing like Tupac and shit, and fucking.
I always bring a speaker and just start cranking in there.
The pre-party.
Nobody ever really like complains. I've had people ask me before, like, "Hey, can you turn that off or whatever?" And usually I'm like, "It's my locker room too." No.
Yeah.
But everybody was with it, and like, I think like playing music and stuff gets it like.
It definitely made it better.
Yeah, when it's quiet in there, I hate it.
Yeah. I would say the vibe, like in the beginning, like it said, it started to change immediately as people started getting taped. People start to get more intense. People are hitting mitts harder. And I think for me, that part, it wasn't awkward, but I was like, I don't know if I was being needy with Chris, but I just was like holding his water and I was like, just trying to be helpful. As I got more comfortable, I would like, if Gertz looked good, I'd be like, bro, you look like a fucking animal. Like,
Yeah,
you're throwing lasers, bro. Like just encouraging. I think one of the weirdest parts of the locker room being that shared was when people come back and there's a loss or a win.
Yeah, it changes. Like, that's a good point because I've been like on UFC cards and stuff, it's all like red corner in one, blue in the other. And like the dynamic changes a little bit. Like I've been on cards before where like the first 6 people in your locker room all lose. And like, it becomes like, the atmosphere and everything is very like, depressing. And you have to like, when that happens, you have to be like, that's not me. That they,
it's like easy to catch on to that, huh?
Yeah. So you have to just kind of like stay focused and just like, don't worry about them. This is separate. This isn't the same thing. It's not, like I said, I'm not very superstitious, but some people are. Some people will be like, oh, this locker room is winning all night, and
I got to move over there.
There was one guy, I won't say his name, who got pieced up pretty bad. And when he came in, he, and was still there for a while because Chris was the last one to leave the locker room. At the end of the night, it was just him and me standing in there. And it just, he'd lost so bad that it just, I wouldn't say it created drama, but it just was like, I don't know, you feel it, right? And like he's bleeding all over the place and he's on the phone with his parents and, his coaches are kind of upset, for him. And that part was really interesting.
Yeah.
It's got to be, for you, tough. Not tough after fucking 40 fights, but like you got to block that shit out.
Yeah, because I've seen people come back like really messed up and you're getting ready and you're like, man, what am I doing?
Fuck. Yeah.
Look at that guy. Fuck. What the hell are we doing here? I mean, I've seen people come back like mangled and then you're like, so this is what I signed up
my
for.
turn.
Should have stayed in college. But no, so yeah, I was excited to do this podcast with you because it is like an interesting thing that a lot of people won't understand.
It's actually a lot of work. Like for no one who's ever been in a corner or backstage, it is a lot of work. Like Chris had to already be ready by 3, to the stadium, park, bands. It already feels like you've expended a lot of energy. Oh, and then Chris fucking had to go to the rules meeting, even though it was on the main card. That was kind of traumatic.
I got there earlier than I was supposed to. Apparently, they told me the wrong time. So
you're getting all these rules, thrown at you. There's other fighters around. Everyone backstage too at that stage felt kind of like, they're all about to get in a fight. So it wasn't like where Chris is so chill. Everyone else is kind of
getting pumped up.
Yeah, and so it's not like there's not a lot of love,
and you're in there with your opponent too. So we're in like the First Bank Center has like a gymnasium in it, like a basketball court. So they have chairs in there, and they're like, all right, everybody come sit in here. And this is the other part people don't realize is you see your opponent a ton, right? Mm-hmm. I think the outside looking in, they think we're like caged animals. Like, I bet if they see each other in the hallway or whatever, they're just going to go. Like, you and your opponent are in such like tight quarters. Like my opponent's dressing room or locker room was literally like straight across from ours. So there was times I came out and like he was coming out
up, bro?
and you're like, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Feeling good? Good luck. No, I mean like it is awkward. You're like, what do I even say? I never say good luck. I don't want you to have good luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like the vibe of the locker room and stuff.
But going back to that, it's a lot of work. Before Chris gets on stage, it's all those things. Then sitting there, he's like helping his teammates too, talking to them. Guys are warming up. You're getting taped. Chris went through like 4 hours of things, of nonstop things, like literally nonstop. It was never like we were chilling ever. I don't think, to changing, to people in and out, to conversations you're having, to Landau warming up his his strength and conditioning coach was there warming him up in a different way than Jake would. There's like 4 hours of process where Chris was never not moving or like talking or doing something.
They come in, like certain reporters will be like, hey, can you do this interview? And this is all before the fight. And cameras come in, they're like, hey, we need clips of you shadow boxing for social media or warming up or whatever. And
they would stop him right in his groove. Like he'd be like, you could tell he walks counterclockwise for those of you who didn't know that.
He's an ambi-turner.
I've always done it. I don't know.
Can't turn left. And guys would come in with cameras and be like, hey, right in the middle of his like process. So he's constantly being interrupted. And even walking, yeah, I know you're going to get there, but yeah, it was just a lot. One of the things that didn't startle me, that's a bad word, kind of was surprising was the amount of work, literally like 4 hours of like little monotonous things before you actually even step into the ring.
And it can get irritating sometimes. Like
guys checking your tape every fucking 20 minutes.
Yeah, because the commissioners have to sign off on everything. And then once they sign off, they like follow you around, you know, if you can't like, if you go to the bathroom, they're supposed to go with you because I don't know, with bare knuckle, it's a little different, but like boxing, there's been guys in the past that have put liquid stuff on their wraps that turn to ceramic. And like, if nobody's watching them, there's always ways to cheat. And it's just like, it's like a washing machine when you get there.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of parts.
Over.
Yeah.
Hey, we need you for this or do this, do that. And you're just like, all right. Like
while trying to stay focused and ready and loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for me, like I said, I keep it lighthearted. Because fighting is super serious, right? So I try to be efficient with my energy and like not until it's time. Like I'll have fun, joke around, talk, whatever. And then once I start warming up is kind of when I lock in. That's when I like my mentality flips a little bit. I think you saw like I get quieter. I don't like make a lot of eye contact. I just stare like straight ahead at what I'm doing just because it's like focus, you know, it's very easy. I've got ADD too. So like if I start looking off, my brain loses that focus. And like you said earlier, I like what you said, like that's when the vibe break really, that's getting close to the fight. Everybody gets a little bit quieter. And I think most guys are like me. That's when they're starting to like lock in. And other than Gertz is ready to fight from the minute he gets out of the truck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so take us through that then. So continuing on to basically where they come get me.
Yeah, so it was just Chris and I, and then again, it was one of those moments where I didn't feel pressure, but I wanted to like, I think as a corner guy, especially like I wasn't holding mitts for you or anything, you want to add value however you can. And yeah, when it was just you and I, like there was multiple times where I wanted to add value, but I was like, just fucking, he'll tell you if he needs something. So literally I just, just standing next to you, just thinking of encouraging things like, bro, you look fucking sharp. Like you're going to fucking dust this guy. Let's go, champ. Like just, that kind of stuff. But when it was just you and me, it starts to ratchet up. Like the intensity starts to ratchet up.
And I know what you mean. You always feel like you should be doing something.
Yeah.
So every time I corner, or I always feel like every time they walk by, I should say something because it's awkward if I'm just quiet.
Right.
And it's like, you don't really know what to do.
See, but if it were me, hearing things like you look sharp helps me. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I fucking look sharp. It would help my mentality. I think that's why I was saying it.
I mean, I do it too, yeah. But I do always feel like I need to say something when I'm cornering people.
Yeah.
Because you're like, again, my nerves, I get crazy nervous to corner. And then I'm like, do you need anything? What do you need? And people are like, no, I'm good. And finally you can start to catch on that they're like, don't want to tell you to fuck off. But because I think you did a good job, but I've gotten better at it. But early on in the years, it was like, I felt like I had like constantly talk and people were like, yo, just like, let me focus and leave me alone.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I was trying to be very cognizant. So yeah, and then it's just him and I. And you know he's about to go to war, and you start taking deeper breaths. You're like, okay, we're about to bang. So, here we go.
Yeah, hold on. So it ends up being you and I in the locker room because Gertz is fighting before me. So my coaches, all of our teammates that were back there with us and everybody leave with Gertz because they stage you one fight ahead. So it was actually 2 fights from mine, but they take Gertz, so the whole team goes. And then, yeah, it's just an empty locker room of you and I. And it's like, still have the music going.
It's eerie though. It's once it clears out. I don't know if eerie is the right word. It's just
the energy sucked out.
And no, I wouldn't even say that. I would say, because Chris's energy was so good. I mean, I think it was symbolic of like, it's go time. Like the room's empty. It's just us.
It is tense though.
Very tense. And then, yeah, they walk you out to the staging area, which is sort of awkward. Like I like UFC's walkout better just because you're probably with your team the whole time. Bare knuckle, they have you kind of literally backstage, and you end up like, if I wasn't there, it would have just been Chris standing there by himself, like listening to. So, and then it gets even more ratcheted up because all you hear is, oh shit. And you're like, we're trying to figure out if Gertz is winning or losing. Like we didn't know.
Yeah. Cause there's just a big black curtain. And basically I'm back there with like all the production trucks and stuff is where they stage you. So they put me on the side of the truck and there was no TV because they're like, well, my opponent, I can see him. He's like right in front of the curtain, and there's a TV, but I can't see it because it's curved around. So again, it's tough because my teammate is literally fighting right now, and we just hear like roaring of the crowd, and we're like, wait, did he knock him out? Did he? Yeah,
what the fuck's going on? I'm trying to get a peek of it. Chris is doing his counterclockwise
pacing,
and at one point he walked away from me and was like in his own corner, and I was like, I don't know if I should go over there. So I just stood like 10 feet away with water because that's all I could do.
It's a little awkward. What I did was, I don't know why, because my opponent and I are friends, but where they put me, I'm not supposed to see him. And I was like, screw that. So I go over there so that I could see him. And then I'm just like staring, and I'm like shadow boxing. I'm just envisioning like, I'm going to
destroy
you up.
Yeah.
But technically, yeah, you're supposed to be out of sight. But I don't know. For me, I don't like unknown stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just like staring.
That was smart. I didn't know you could see him.
Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah. And then at a certain point, someone comes and grabs me and they're like, you got to go. And I end up walking around the curtain, standing with Jake, getting ready to walk down. And basically for a few minutes, Chris is just back there by himself.
And it's weird. Like, so I don't even think I told you this yet. It's kind of always like this, but some like UFC, you walk out like as a team.
Yeah.
Like Whitney's fight, this one, the fighter walks the ramp, corners go around. But it's weird because you're going to fight, right? We do all this warming up, all this stuff. You get your energy up, everything, and you're just like, it's go time. And then it's like, hurry up and wait. Because then they're like, all right, come here. So my opponent walks out, and they're like, we need you here. And there's like an X on the ground. And the lady's like, all right, stand here on the X. Then as it got closer to me going, she's like, come up to this second stair. It was like very exact. And I went up like one stair and it was just like in my own mind, and she's like, no, this stair. So she made me take another step up. It was literally one step. I'm like, does it matter? But they're just like,
these should have barked at her.
These people are just doing their jobs too. And like, that's what they're told. And so then I stand there and wait. And then she's like, all right, I'm going to give you a countdown. When I give you the countdown, they're telling you all this stuff. And you're like, I don't care. Like, can we just fight? But she's like, you're going to go up the stairs, not when they call your name, but when I tell you. And she's got like a headset on. And she's like, when you get to the top of the stairs, turn right. There's no way I would have gone left because I can see the ramp. She's like, there's an X on there and there's like smoke and shit going. I never even saw the X, but she's like, you walk to the X, count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. She's
so
like,
much happening.
And then it's a fast walk down the ramp. And it's strange because you're just like, again, can we just fight? And I'm trying to remember this, but focus.
Yeah,
and
fuck.
I don't care too much about if you mess it up, whatever. But yeah, and then there's like a camera guy in front of you walking backwards on the ramp. They told me to walk fast, but then the camera guy's in the way, and you're just kind of like, can you just get out of my face? Like, I see the ring. And as a fighter, I've always said I would like it better if as soon as I step foot in the ring, it was like, go.
Yeah.
Because all that anticipation, everything, because then you get in the ring and they're like,
announcements,
in this corner, and this corner, and blah, 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 and talking. And there's been fights. I've been in the ring for, I feel like 20 minutes before. For PFL once, they put my opponent and I in the cage before going to commercial break. So we're in there. And then finally, like after a while, I was like, what are we doing? Because they hadn't even done the announcements yet or anything. It was a commercial for TV. Him and I were just standing there for, I swear it was like probably not 20 minutes. It felt like it. It was probably,
I think what's important too for people listening who've never been in a fight or played a sport at a high level is like Because that whole time you're trying to get yourself ready. And I feels like each one of those things is like a pattern interrupt that you have to stay in that zone, right?
Yeah. It tests your mental fortitude to maintain that focus.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you don't get to just be like, all right, ready, go.
Yeah. Imagine if you were going to take some girl down and she ran you through 4 hours of drills. And then when you got to her house, she was like, step here, step there. She told you to take your clothes off a certain way. Then she was naked on the bed, made you stand by the door and just stare for a while.
Sounds hot.
And you just stared, and then she was like, stand on that X. And then a few more minutes later, and then there was a walkout song, and then
Go sit in that chair in the
like
corner.
6 hours later, you finally get to put it in.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
All right, real quick, I want to tell you about something that I absolutely love, and that is Fit Soda. Soda's great. Everyone loves to drink it, but it's not good for you. It's going to make you fat. It's going to get you obese. It's going to rot your teeth and cause all kinds of health problems along the way. Fit Soda gives you all the pleasure of that beautiful, sparkling, tasty drink, but without all the negative side effects. Fit Soda has 0 calories. It's also a hydration drink. It is loaded with branch chain amino acids for recovery and electrolytes for hydration. Comes in 4 amazing flavors. You got the orange cream, you got the root beer float, you got the cherry cola, and the sparkling citrus. By the way, guilt-free soda, 0 calories. Stick a little vodka in there. You got a delicious cocktail. It's a great mixer. I'm telling you, this stuff is fantastic. Stop drinking soda right now. Stop adding to that waistline. Stop rotting your teeth and causing all the internal problems that soda does cause. Fit Soda #1 is absolutely delicious and it's good for you.
So yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes. So I'm really excited. Again, we have this vlog coming out that Miller's been making, and we did get behind the scenes footage. So we got locker room footage. We got everything. Even some of the camera guys from the event. Shout out to Garrett, gave us film and stuff. So this vlog is going to be an awesome, like, in-depth look to like the fight game that I think a lot of people don't see. And so let's see. So where do we leave off? So now I'm walking, right? Now take me from your vantage point. So you walk a different way.
Yeah, so we're right next to the stage. You were a bit of ahead of us, but when they stopped you, they stopped you in the beginning, and then right before you got to the ring, they stopped you again. We kind of passed you right there. And at that moment, I didn't quite know what I was doing. And the nice guy behind me was like, go ahead and get on. He's like, come up here. And I was like, fuck yes. So I got to stand on the ring. You were now in the ring. And to be honest, that first moment I stood up there, I remember telling myself to like take it in. So I just took a second, took a deep breath, and looked at the sold out arena and just tried to take in.
It was massive.
It was fucking awesome.
It was like a raven there too.
I saw Maddie walking out too. I immediately saw you
with my cell phone, like following Chris.
I forgot that point. So as I was walking, I saw Maddie, and then I saw Gina and Whitney. So I was like, cool, I know where they are. But yeah, so when I got on the ring, I literally was like, take a deep breath, take all this in, which was fucking sick. And once I took it in, Jake was to my right. And then they started announcing you, and I just couldn't handle my excitement. I just was like, fucking hands up, like, let's go, like, fucking.
It is cool. Like, I love cornering too. It makes me so nervous, but you get to take in the atmosphere a little bit more as a corner. So from my vantage point and my perspective, like, I walk the ramp, and there's been times where I like, look around and everything. And for some reason on this one, I just like look straight ahead. I could hear people like trying to get my attention, and I think they were like friends and stuff.
I was yelling. I was like, let's go, Mose.
Yeah. And I was like, don't even look. Just keep looking straight ahead. Didn't look at anybody. And that kind of, it goes to like tunnel vision. So I can hear kind of how loud it was. Like, I didn't hear my music. It was so loud. I actually remember thinking that. I was like, are they even playing my music, or am I walking out?
I don't remember hearing your song either.
Yeah. And then, like you said, so what happens is you get to the end of the ramp, and then that's when the referee who's not working your fight, if the referee's not working the fight, their job is to do the outside check. So this is another thing they add in where you're like, dude, can we just do this? So they're like arms out, they pat you down, kind of like they feeling for grease, and if you put anything on your body, because you can't put like Bengay or anything that like burns somebody's eyes. And then they are like, show me your mouthpiece. You have to do that like weird smile. And they're like, your cup, you're supposed to hit yourself in the balls a little bit. And then they're like, okay, you're good in the ring. Or no, they Vaseline you up too, right?
Yeah.
And that guy with boxing, they just smear it all over your face. He was kind enough because like My lips were all chapped and stuff. He was even like putting it on my lips.
Here
I'm
you
like,
go, buddy.
thanks, bro. And then I get in there, and another cool thing is I didn't know this until my first bare knuckle fight, and I don't even know if you knew it until you got up there. The ropes are different, right? They're not ropes.
No.
They're metal bars, so they don't flex like
At all.
boxing ropes, which totally makes sense, but I didn't know that till the first time, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's round. So the reason boxing rings can have elastic ropes is because there's corner pieces.
Yeah.
Well, you can't make a circle with those. No. And I was like, that does make sense. And there's one part where you get in, and that's where it flexes. And that's why they're like, don't get on the ropes because you might break the spring or whatever. I did anyway.
Yeah, when you got in, I started smacking the ropes because I was so excited, and I was like, Jesus, those are fucking super hard.
Yeah, they're hard. So it's like different in boxing because like in boxing, there is techniques where you can like lean against the ropes and like draw. You don't go anywhere on those. Like there's no leaning. If you hit those ropes, it's like hitting the wall. And so yeah, we're in there. You guys are up on the ring, and then they do the announcements. So you take it from here.
Yeah, and then after they announced you, I think you could probably hear us like, "Let's go, Chris!" Like saying certain things to him, and then they pull Jake down as soon as they're getting ready to go. And again, standing there as someone who's never been there before, obviously, you know, you're going to let Jake say all the things he's going to say. We didn't say much to you as you were standing there, but in your head, you're like, "What do I say right now that'll
kick his ass, Seabass?"
Yeah, pull his dick.
I
Pull his
did
dick,
hear
man.
grab his dick and twist it
Somebody yelled it.
right behind us, and I was like, yes.
I think when you walked by, I was like, dude, you're going to fucking smoke this guy. I think I was just trying to say something. And then, yeah, you get the energy gets even higher. You're like, fuck, here we go. Like, let's let it fucking rip. And so basically right then someone pulled us down the steps, and Jake went to the corner, and my guy wasn't paying attention. So I went to go sit right next to Jake and like pushed this kid at bare knuckle. I was like, move, dude, I got to sit here. And the guy was like, oh no, dude, you're back in this chair. And I was like, oh, perfect. Cause that was stressing me out.
It was the cut man, I think. So
yeah.
you're appointed a cut man by them. Some people bring their own.
That's just someone who works on the wounds, right?
Yeah. So they're the ones, he's the one that does the Vaseline. If I get cut, like there's some technique to it. Use like epinephrine, adrenaline, stuff like that they put in the cut with like a Q-tip to pinch it and stop the bleeding. Having a good cut man is important for like real big fights for sure.
Yeah. I would say too, from the ring to the seat to the finish was a blur.
Yeah.
Like it was a fucking blur. Cause yeah, then the bell goes off, you guys start fighting. And from my vantage point, I thought he caught you with that cross.
Oh yeah.
Turns out you obviously slipped a bit on that back foot. So then I just stood up and was screaming at that point. Yeah, and then the fight wasn't much longer. And then what I remember next is I remember standing up when he tagged you and yelling like, "Let's fucking go, Mosey." And then first knockdown, I was like, this guy doesn't want this. You could tell. Second knockdown, I was already yelling, he's out. And then the third time I was like, he's done. I was like screaming it, standing up in front of everyone, just like, he's fucking done. He's fucking quit.
Yeah. Was it that body shot that you got him? That was the second one. Like, how did that, it's so hard to see. Cause I was like looking at you, but the cameras are right in front of us. So I had to like turn to look at the TV.
I hit him kind of behind the ear a little bit, like, so with an overhand that comes up. And that's, for those of you that don't know, like will rock your equilibrium. So I was actually not just swinging. I was trying to be like precise with my punches. And I remember like when I threw that, like we were in tight, so it was hard for me to hit his chin because like,
you were clinched up too for a little bit, huh?
Yeah. So going back to my vantage point, yeah, it was weird for me because I kind of had trouble all day, like envisioning the fight where normally it just like goes a bunch.
What do you mean envisioning it? Like step one, step two?
Yeah, like here's what I'm going to do. My mind was kind of blank, which is abnormal for me. And I was like, man, this is weird. Like,
That's probably why you like it. It's the first time you don't have to think about anything.
I don't know. Yeah. So I wanted to start a little bit faster than I did. And like I stepped off, he kind of backed up a little bit. And I was like, all right, how do I open this up? You know? And then he threw a punch. And I don't know if it
So
hit
walk
me.
us through what's going through your head. Cause like a few Sundays ago I sparred and I was like, when you're facing a fight, you're like, okay, I think your head's going, okay, how am I, you're watching how they stand. You're looking in their eyes. You're like, okay, you're trying to assess, right?
Yeah.
And then as a few seconds go by, you're like, okay, let me see what you're going to do. What were you thinking in those first few seconds? Like you said, you started slow, but what were you actually thinking, if anything?
So yeah, I'm always like, it's a real, I mean, you've found this out now too. There's so much like thought process that goes into fighting. It's not just brawling and everything. Even bare knuckle kind of looks like a brawl, but if you go back and watch the fight, like I'm kind of like poking my hand out. We call it like feigning. Mm-hmm. I know he knows I'm not trying to hit him. What I'm doing is like feeling out the distance, and I'm also seeing like how he's reacting to that. And then I kind of compute that based on like, all right, he's reacting this way, that hand's coming in. And then I'm thinking like around angles, like where do I open up here? And then he threw a punch. He caught me kind of thinking a little bit, and he threw a punch and I went backwards a little bit. It didn't hurt me at all, but even Jake asked, he's like, did you get rocked on that first punch?
It looked like you got rocked. I was like, fuck.
Because I took like a weird step at the end. And yeah, I don't know. I think it was like right here, but I think I blocked half of it. I'm not sure. It didn't hurt, but I was just like, I remember thinking in my head, like, you son of a bitch. Yeah. I was going to throw first. Like, well, it like irritated me because I did get caught like thinking. I was like overthinking everything of how I was going to start. And then he was just like, boom. And so then from there, I think we ended up clinched up. And the first time I clinched with him, I knew like I was a lot stronger than him. I was able to like pull my hands out and throw. Like I could feel certain things that I would be able to capitalize on, especially when I started grabbing his head and like, we call it breaking him down. Like I make your waist bend. If you let me do that, I know that I can get you, because most guys like put their hips in, pull their head up. One from like MMA and Muay Thai, you don't want to get kneed in the face. And he's an MMA guy, or choked. And as soon as he started letting me like break his head down, and I have like a pretty strong grip on people's head. The Thai clinch has always been like one of my favorite things.
I didn't know that was legal to do.
Yeah, that's the difference between boxing and bare knuckle too. As long as you're punching with the other hand, you can grab the head.
Yeah.
So once that happened, each time I was like, just get back to the clinch, get back to the clinch. Because I think I told you this before, that was kind of my plan B. I wanted to go out there and box like real clean, get a knockout. Did I tell you this?
You said it in the car. You're like, it wasn't as clean as I wanted it to be.
Oh yeah, like my last one. I just wanted like a punch, like boom, down. But my plan B, I was like, man, this guy's not from Colorado. If this fight gets dirty, I'll start hanging on him. Like, cause this is exhausting. When somebody's grabbing your head and like pulling it down, ask your girl, it's tiring.
Yeah.
Maybe we should ask her.
Yeah. But
I go down on her sometimes.
You don't wear the pants though.
No one's wearing pants in that situation.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I knew from there, that's why each time we were separated, I was like, get back to the clinch, because I could break him down. And I was doing damage, he got cut and everything. And, from there went on to win and those 3 knockdowns. But each time in my head, when I knocked him down the first time, I watched him and everything, and I was like, oh, he'll get back up. Like I knew in my head he would get back up, and it wasn't that big of a shot. But I saw him like grab the cut and like look at his fingers. And that's when I kind of knew. I was like, all right, he doesn't like this. Like,
right.
I broke one bit of your will, at least, like a little piece.
Right.
And you're always looking for things like that, because like if I can break your will, like I can get you. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, there's one, and then he went down the second time, and I was like, maybe he'll get up, and I saw him. And in my head, I'm like, just stay down, please stay down. Cause like the relief isn't there yet. I wasn't like, oh, I'm dominating this, cause it's bare knuckle, right?
Anything can happen.
Any fight. Like the guy could get up and just swing an overhand and put you out. So like you're not safe yet. No matter how far ahead you get, you're not safe. Then the third time he went down, the bell had rang. And so the rule in bare knuckle is you can't be saved by the bell. So what that means is, I believe before it goes to the minute rest, they do the count. Mm-hmm. Whereas sometimes you can be saved by the bell in certain promotions. The bell rings, it doesn't matter. They don't count. And then you get a minute to recover. So I was like, man, he might get up. I couldn't tell, because I was like, the round ended. So he knows that he gets up, he gets a rest, gets his wits back about him. And I
could tell immediately on the third one he was done.
Really?
As
soon as he went down, it was noticeable.
I was
he looked up and he was like, oh, fuck.
I stood up and I was like, he's fucking done. I knew he was done.
It's funny. In my head, though, I was like, just stay down. Just stay down. Like, because again, you want that, like, when you win something like that, like, all the relief, all the stress, everything. It's like, I've said this before. It's like skydiving, you know? You win a fight, that means your chute opened. You have this crazy view, best experience ever. You lose a fight, it's like you jump out of the plane, the chute doesn't open. Like, there's no middle ground. It sucks. It's either the coolest thing ever or the worst. And so then right at that moment, like, you see the ref do this, which means fight's over. And that's when you literally like can feel it like run through your body, like, now I kind of
fuck.
Now I don't have to
party, dude.
Now I don't have to act tough anymore. And
Yeah.
Get out of here. And I was
Go
like,
hug my family.
I know. I was like, yeah, let's party. And so take it from there.
Yeah, I think I was the first one up, and I was just fucking going nuts.
Oh, and you posted a story, which is really cool, and it's going to be on the vlog. Somebody got you on video. You got to the top of the stairs, and you're pointing at Gina.
Oh,
Whitney,
yes.
and you're
That's
like, I
mine.
told you.
I could pull it up.
So I texted Gina, and then when it happened, after I got on stage and did one of those or whatever, I found them in the audience, and I was just yelling at Gina. I was like, I fucking told you. Round one, I was just going in.
I just got chills.
Yeah, I was like, I fucking told you. Round one, I was fucking going nuts.
Because Miller, yeah, we talked about that already, right? Like in the locker room, you text them like, he looks good.
Yeah, I was like, he looks super sharp. This is going to be a round one knockout. Watch.
So what made you feel that? Like, were you trying to just convince yourself, or did you genuinely believe like, oh, he's going to smoke?
No, I genuinely believed it. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't. It's just the way, like the whole day, your attitude, the atmosphere, when you were warming up, you just looked crispy and clean. When you were pacing around, you could just see the focus. I was like, this guy's toast. There's no chance. And then I knew some of the stories beforehand about like, weigh-ins and stuff, how he wanted to take photos and shit. I'm like, this guy doesn't want it. And just feeling like, I don't know, it sounds weird and maybe sort of, I don't know, gay. I don't know. Can you say that anymore? It doesn't matter. No, I mean, you can feel,
love him?
I think when you're that close to somebody, you can feel, there's an energy you can feel. And I could feel it and see it on your face. I was like, Camozzi's fucking focused. He's fucking.
I know what you mean. I've cornered people where I'm like, they're not there. Like, fuck. And you're trying to like snap them into it.
I could see it in your face. I was like, dude, he looks so good right now. He's going to fucking murk this guy. So that's why I sent the text. Then I was yelling. And then when I was done yelling, Chris had made like a half circle. And I told him in the car later that I felt like a dork for doing this. But he was kind of looking this way. And I was like screaming at him. I'm like, Whitney's right fucking there. I was like yelling at him. I felt like it was so important for you to see Whitney and like.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was looking for. I always look for like people I know and stuff. And, last time you guys were sitting at like a front table. So I remember looking over and like seeing you guys. And I don't know, you always look for certain people and just like celebrate the win or like see them. Yeah, hey, Mom. Because you see relief on your friends and family too. They're like, oh, thank God.
We were stoked in that corner.
Yeah.
Dude, in the place, another perspective is how wild the place went when you won. Like, it was deafening.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
This city, like, I love this city for that reason. I mean, it's always been super supportive to me. I've always sold a ton of tickets and like get a huge roar from the crowd, which is always like a cool feeling.
You were like the Denver legend there.
Yeah. But it was a fun experience. And you know what is funny is that's 2 fights now, 2 knockouts, and I don't get an interview in the ring after. What the fuck is up with that, bare knuckle?
Wait, can we back up and talk about how, okay, here's the most awkward moment of the night for me. It's just Chris and I. He's doing his counterclockwise shit and mouthing, I'm going to fuck this dude up. And I'm just standing there. And all of a sudden, Lorenzo Hunt walks in, who's been basically following you around all night. That's how I felt.
He kept popping
Probably
in
wrong.
So Lorenzo Hunt is the champion for my weight class, who I've been calling out since I got signed. And
he's just standing in. So it's Chris's last 3 minutes, and any fighter would know that. Like any fighter would walk in and be like, he's about to walk out, and he just stood there. And then a couple of his boys walked in. They're like shooting the shit, and there was a split second where I was like, I'm gonna walk over there and drag this guy out of the fucking locker room. I obviously was like, don't do that. That's drama and tension he doesn't need. But that's how I felt. I was like, I want to go over there and tell this guy to fuck off. Because it's like, why be in there right now? You have the whole rest of the post fight. You have all the after party where you could talk shit and do whatever. This guy's about to walk out and you're in the locker room, like just being weird, just staring at him. I don't know. It was fucking weird. And I didn't want it to fuck you up because I know at one point you looked at him and I was like, I hope this doesn't fuck up his focus.
Yeah, no, it doesn't at all. I use that as motivation, right? Because
You're like, you're next, fucker.
I took it personal, even though like
it's probably ignorance on his side.
like his perception of this whole thing could be totally different. Because I know he was like interviewing people and stuff, but I was like, all right, you're gonna be in here, you're gonna try to like play mind games with me, like you're intimidating me. Because like one, I'm not intimidated by him, but two, I'm like, is he trying to fuck with my head? Like, all right. So I took that as like a personal thing. I was like, you can't break my mind, like you can't mess with it, yada yada. So I just like stayed focused, and I don't know why I do it. Yeah, once I'm warmed and ready to go, I just literally pace counterclockwise. It's always counterclockwise and around the locker
like a jungle cat.
Yeah.
And I like,
Yeah, no, I can't believe I forgot that story. It fucking made me so mad.
yeah.
I wanted to fucking.
Is he the one that was like all tatted up?
He was wearing a suit, carrying around 2 belts like a douche.
Yeah, he's like the double champion. I don't know if he's all tatted up. I can't really remember. But so pushing forward, right? I win the fight and everything. You know, this is another thing that was awkward. So I don't get an interview, which is crazy because I want to hype that. Like that's both times now I had things planned that I was going to be like, all right, listen, like Lorenzo Hunt, I know you're in here. You're next. Like, yeah, like cut a promo.
Yeah.
That gets like fans interested in everything. And they're like, all right, you know, out that way. And I was like looking at him like, what, no interview again? All right. So I almost fall down the stairs. We already went, like the stairs fucking tipped. And
Worst case scenario to the best night if you fall down the steps.
yeah, I almost walked off the ramp at the UFC once. Like this guy was like, no. I thought the stairs were there, but the lights were all crazy. I get down the stairs, and this is awkward too. And I apologize to this guy. I don't even remember what he looked like or anything, but this is your apology. This guy grabs me by the wrist and is dragging me. Were you behind me at that moment or were you ahead?
We were ahead of you.
He's dragging me, like pulling me like a kid. Finally, I was like, hey, hold on a second. Because I was like pulling back at first. And he's like, what? And I was like, dude, I don't need you to fucking drag me around by my wrist.
Yeah, I'm not your girlfriend.
And I was like, just let me go. I can walk. I'll follow you. I promise. I don't need you to drag me. And
was he
like,
with the promotion?
Yeah, and he goes to grab my wrist again. And he's like, I'm just doing what I'm told. And I was like, look, man, I'll follow you. Like, fucking let me go.
It's fucking weird.
Because it was like aggressively like a dad, like dragging you. Like, I'm like, what is he doing?
We're
like,
leaving the play place.
Like, I'm
Let's
a
get outta
fucking
here.
grown man. I can walk on my own. Like, just
weird.
You watch me just punch that guy?
Yeah, you lead the way. I'll follow you. I mean, I'm sure he was just doing his job, but it was really, I've never been like drug around like that.
That's awkward.
Yeah. You're like, I'm a grown boy. All right. I could walk. I've seen them do that if you're hurt or like concussed.
I even go to the potty by myself.
That's probably why they did it, to make sure that like if you were concussed that you were going the right direction or something.
I don't know. He was walking real fast if he thought I was concussed because I would have tripped and fell if I was.
That's weird. I didn't know that.
So then you get in the back and then it's like you go to the medical tent and they, you know, there's guys getting stitched up all over the
They're
place.
like, no, scratch on you, dude.
Yeah, they're like, you're good.
Here's a lollipop. Get out
That
of
was
here.
another weird moment. That fucking guy, me, Jake, and Grant are standing at the med tent just waiting for Chris. I'm holding water just in case my boy's thirsty, you know?
Yeah.
And just trying to make sure he's all right. And Lorenzo Hunt walks up and starts talking to Coach Jake. And not even like an adult, was just like, started going into this like rap battle where he was like, I knocked dudes out, one fucking shot. And he just started going on. I was like, okay. And Jake just turned around and walked off. It was another moment of just like, A, how do you have so much energy?
More like Lorenzo. Am I right?
Maddie's always got it one ready.
Yeah, it was fucking weird as shit.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was him or not, but I'm sitting there, so they do concussion testing and stuff, and this is just like a black curtain, little tiny tent. Mind you, my opponent's in there too. And it's like 5 by 5.
You're like, hey,
tiny.
that was fun, dude.
Yeah,
It's like
you know,
a bathroom stall, basically.
we're like shaking hands and stuff, and like they're looking at his cut and starting to
Because I have
stitch
some
him up.
questions about that with him being your homie, but keep going.
So yeah, they're looking at stitching him up. He's like lays down right here, and I'm literally like my arm is like almost on his leg because it's tiny.
You should just like put it there.
This is like the other part people don't realize. They're like, you guys just fought each other, and then you're literally in. I mean, it's smaller than this office room right here. It's
It's a bathroom stall.
yeah, pretty close. Like
It's a handicap- yep,
bathroom
handicap.
stall
Yep.
with a table in it. And there's 3 doctors in there, and then 2 fighters. So there's 5 people in this thing. Well, then they sit me down and they do this concussion test thing on this computer, which I'd like to point out that I got the highest score.
Had a baby.
on the card, they told me, because I'm competitive, you have to read
Should be a bonus for that.
You have to like read all these numbers all as fast as you can, and they're spread out in different ways and kind of jumbled, but you have to read them in order. And yeah, I crushed it.
Right, baby.
I beat everybody.
You should get a bonus.
Both times.
It's like hop on pop. Pop goes hop.
But well,
you got it, dude.
While I'm doing this, right, somebody's hand reaches in the tent, and the doctor lady, she was like, "What the hell?" And she's like, "Who's messing with us? We're doing a test right now." I don't know if it was him or what. Like a hand came in, and so I do my test and stuff, and then it's like the car wash again. Hey, do this interview. We need you over here. Do this interview. And I haven't even been back to the locker room yet. I'm still in all my gear. I'm still have my like groin protector on and my hands. I think we just cut the tape off, but like you don't even get a second. Then it's just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I went and did one of the interviews was back in that like gym, and they're like, "What's next?" You know, and there's only 2 reporters in this whole room, and like all these chairs.
Like
and
you guys should switch spots with the doctors.
yeah, they bring you up on the stage. And so I'm like, look, Lorenzo Hunt is next. That's it. There's nobody else. Like he's beat everybody else in the division. You know, that's 2 knockouts in a row for me. I asked to fight all the top guys before this fight. None of them answered. None of them want to fight. So I want that title shot. And then he comes walking in again and gets on the stage and does his little gimmick thing. You know, like ain't no champ unless I say so. And I was like, I'm gonna make you say so. And then he's like, no, like he turned it down. So to my knowledge, like he still doesn't want to fight yet. So I'm going to keep knocking people out. We'll see. I don't know. It's not up to him. He doesn't own the promotion, and he's going to have to defend that belt. What were you going to say though? You had a question.
Okay, so you knew your opponent.
Yeah.
How'd you meet him? Just through like training camps?
We've been on the like same circuit scene, whatever, for a really long time. So I've always known of him. And then we were in the PFL tournament together. So when I quarantined, which was the first time was 17 days before the fight. I had to live in the hotel. So did he and everybody else on the card. So we basically, all the guys you're going to fight in the tournament are like having lunch together every day and sitting there for 17 days before. I think we trained together during the quarantine too. I can't remember. But yeah, we never fought each other in PFL, but I basically ate lunch with him every day.
Was it kind of weird to fight someone you know like that, or it's just part of the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the game because I fought, God, he's
like
probably
Dustin too and stuff.
Yeah, I fought Jacoby. Let's see, I fought a guy named James Hammertree, my first UFC fight. So we were on the Ultimate Fighter together,
man.
so we lived in the same house.
Hammertree.
And I fought Nick Ring from the Ultimate Fighter, and again, we lived in the same house. I fought quite a few guys along the way that I've known personally for a while.
Have you talked to your opponent since?
I talked to him after a bit. You know, he's a super nice guy.
What's that conversation like? Just like, hey, how you doing? Like,
yeah, I was like, you're cut all good. Like, is your head all right?
That's cool.
You know, stuff like that. And he was just like, man, this is totally different game. Like, it's way different without the gloves. And it is kind of hard. Like, what do you say? I'm like, just keep your head up, man. Like, don't even sweat it. Like,
yeah, you just kind of like bring him up a little bit. Like that was you were a good opponent. I hope you feel good.
Yeah.
Thing.
And I was like, you know, come to Tom's.
You're a good sport, bro.
Like, let's have a drink. And he was like, all right, I'm down.
Did he?
No, he didn't come, but they were staying pretty far too, the fight hotel. But a lot of guys did come, you know, so yeah, we do all that. And then it's kind of where it ends. And then it's just debauchery right at Tom's.
Yeah.
Tom was cool.
Oh yeah. The old Tom man of Tom's Watch Bar was there. Yeah, we had an after party at Tom's Watch Bar. So shout out to them.
He had a blue suit on.
It was a great time.
Jumpsuit?
He had like a blue
He's
tuxedo.
a tall, bald guy.
No, he had like long white hair.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
That was Tom.
Oh,
you're talking about Shannon. He's
yeah.
the
GM
or something for them. But yeah, it was a great night. It was a ton of fun, and
so much fun.
It's just funny. Like, I was glad I got to get your perspective because, again, everybody has a different vision of like the fight game. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to get a referee on this podcast too, but I've reached out to a few, and
Herb Dean.
they don't really like to impress. One of them told me, he's like, it's kind of lose-lose for us. Like, we
Yeah.
just try to stay out of
Yeah.
any of that, which I can understand because people will pick apart every little thing you say. But now we can check cornerman off the list, and we got to get some coaches and stuff in here too. And
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're a fight fan and you ever get to do that one day, I mean, it was so cool. I mean, it just, I don't know. I guess being an alpha guy too, you're just being around it. It felt very special. You know, I mean, I've always felt so accepted at Genesis and with all the guys, and I don't know. It felt very special. On top of like the cool factor of all you know, the whole thing. It just feels special too to be a part of something like that. Like,
yeah, because it feels like you won too. You know, it's like
the team.
Yeah, no, and then the team did so well, and it's just what a special fucking night.
That was the first fight I've been to. That was awesome.
I know. We should have been asking your perspective on it. You've never been to any kind of fight,
Nothing
right?
like that.
What was your perspective, Mayhew?
Yeah, but give us a little breakdown.
Well, first of all, I couldn't figure out what to wear. I was like,
how do I look tough?
I was like, I have no tough clothes. I literally have no tough clothes. Do I wear the butterfly pants or this?
Butterfly pants. You should have.
Then I changed my clothes like 8 times, and I decided on like a classic jacket.
Did you buy that hoodie there?
I did.
Or not hoodie. Maddie got some BKFC swag, whatever.
I want you to sign it.
Nice. I like it. They've got a cool logo.
It's a great sweater too.
You know, I didn't have any.
It's so warm. It's like a nice material, so I approve.
I might have to order one of those. I didn't have any BKFC gear before this fight, and then they gave me a bunch. They gave me like bags.
Yeah, I like the one you're wearing.
They gave me a polo, which is hilarious and awesome at the same time because I'm like, I'm going to wear this golfing. But it just says Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship with the fist on it, but it's a polo. I was like, that'll look great on the golf course around all the old dudes.
He's like, what do you do?
Yeah. But no, all in all, it was a great night. And keep an eye out for this vlog. Like, there's a ton of work going into it, but it is like a really, really cool perspective. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. Like I said, we got locker room stuff, behind the scenes, and then actual perspective of like walking out and like from far, from close. Really cool.
Yeah, we interviewed a bunch of like coaches and other corner people.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that you guys did half of that. And then I got to see some of it when Maddie's editing it up. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know you guys were like filming all this stuff like leading up, and it's cool.
It's kind of fun because it's like, it's your fight, but we're doing a documentary about the corner guy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of ironic, but also pretty funny.
That's what I mean. Like, perspective is always cool because, again, everybody has a different vantage point. So keep an eye out for that. I'll definitely be posting it up when it's out.
I just loved seeing you guys up there too. That was so fun for me.
And that's all I got.
That's a show.
Yeah. Hey.
We rolling! Yeah!
All right, let's do this. So I got a little bit of extra BKFC gear. So once this drops live, actually, I don't even need to say that because you're going to be listening to this. Drop us a comment, and I'll pick a few people. I got to go through and see how much stuff I have, but I'll pick a few of you and send you one of the bare
You got
knuckle
to subscribe
shirts.
to our YouTube and comment.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe and comment. Fit Soda Media, and we will see you next week. Check out fitsoda.com, and thanks for tuning in.
Big time, no man, diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine.